Welcome to Have You Read It, the channel where we bring books to life, one summary at a time. Today, we're diving into Timothy W. Ryback's gripping account of Hitler's final ascent to power, Takeover, Hitler's Final Rise to Power. This book meticulously chronicles the tumultuous 6 months leading up to January 30th, 1933, the day Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. Ryback masterfully weaves together a tapestry of political intrigue, personal betrayals, and sheer chaos, painting a vivid picture of a nation teetering on the brink and the machinations of the man who would ultimately lead it into the abyss. Our story begins in mid-August 1932, just days after the National Socialists' significant victory in the Reichstag elections, securing 230 seats, which doubled their legislative mandate and made them the single largest party in the Reichstag. Hitler, along with his propaganda chief, Joseph Goebbels, are at Haus Wachenfeld, Hitler's alpine retreat. They're stargazing, a seemingly tranquil scene that belies the tumultuous political poker game unfolding in Berlin. The burning question: would President Hindenburg appoint Hitler as Chancellor? The July 31st election, though a victory, hadn't delivered the outright majority Hitler craved. He now faced the unpalatable choices of a coalition government or obstructionist politics. Enter Kurt von Schleicher, the ultimate power broker in Berlin. As defense minister, Schleicher commanded not only the Reichswehr, Germany's limited military, but more crucially, the ear of President Hindenburg. Schleicher was a master of political intrigue, orchestrating the rise and fall of chancellors with calculated precision. Hitler and Schleicher had a history. Their initial meetings had left Schleicher unimpressed, but political expediency dictated a partnership. In a secret meeting on August 5th, Schleicher dangled the chancellorship before Hitler, a move calculated to bring the radical Nazi movement into the political mainstream. Hitler, buoyed by Schleicher's offer, gathered his inner circle on the Obersalzberg. The mood was euphoric, with ministerial posts already being divvied up. But lurking beneath the surface were deep divisions. The radicals favored obstructionism, while the pragmatists saw opportunity in coalition. On the evening of August 9th, in the remote Silesian village of Potempa, a brutal murder would shatter the illusion of Nazi control and force Hitler to choose between political pragmatism and the violent core of his movement. A group of stormtroopers, fueled by alcohol and incited by the local Nazi leader, Paul Lachmann, beat a communist, Konrad Pietzuch, to death. Just hours after the Pietzuch murder, President Hindenburg issued a decree imposing the death penalty for political murders. The decree, though seemingly aimed at curbing violence, was met with skepticism and even derision in the press. Hitler, however, publicly endorsed it, confident that the judiciary would apply it selectively against his political opponents. News of the secret meeting between Hitler and Schleicher leaked, igniting a firestorm of speculation in the press. As Hitler prepared for his meeting with Hindenburg, another personal crisis erupted. Eva Braun, a young woman with whom Hitler was having a discreet affair, attempted suicide. On August 13th, Hitler met Hindenburg. The meeting was a disaster. Hindenburg, disgusted by the rising Nazi violence and Hitler's demand for absolute power, refused to appoint him chancellor. The news, leaked to the press by Hindenburg himself, was a humiliating blow for Hitler. Hitler, reeling from the Hindenburg debacle, faced mounting pressure from his stormtroopers, eager for a march on Berlin. He ordered them to stand down, choosing the path of political obstruction. Hitler, seeking to control the narrative, granted interviews to foreign correspondents, denying that he had demanded all or nothing from Hindenburg. He argued that with 37% of the vote, he was entitled to 3/4 of the power. Meanwhile, the trial of the Potempa murderers unfolded. The trial exposed not only the brutality of the SA, but also the deep divisions within the Nazi movement. Hitler, torn between political pragmatism and loyalty to his stormtroopers, sent a telegram expressing solidarity with the convicted murderers, further alienating moderate voters. As the political crisis deepened, Hindenburg summoned his chancellor and key ministers to Neudeck. He expressed his reluctance to dissolve the Reichstag and his continued support for the Papen government. On September 12th, the Reichstag reconvened, with Hermann Göring, a Nazi, as the newly elected president. In a stunning display of political theater, Göring orchestrated the dissolution of the Papen government, though Hindenburg immediately overruled him. Hitler, recognizing the limitations of his political capital, embarked on an unprecedented series of air campaigns for the November Reichstag elections. He crisscrossed Germany, holding hundreds of rallies, railing against the Treaty of Versailles, the Weimar Republic, and the Jewish press. Despite Hitler's relentless campaigning, the November 6th election was a setback. The Nazis lost 2 million votes. The press declared Hitler finished. But Hitler, undeterred, proclaimed victory, insisting that the party would ultimately prevail. The party, however, was in dire financial straits, having spent lavishly on the election campaigns. Hitler turned to wealthy industrialists for support, further compromising his populist image. As Hitler struggled to regain momentum, Gregor Strasser, second only to Hitler in the party hierarchy, began to explore a different path. Strasser, a pragmatist, saw opportunity in coalition and had grown increasingly disillusioned with Hitler's radicalism and intransigence. In December, Strasser met secretly with Chancellor Schleicher, who offered him the vice-chancellorship. Hitler, enraged by Strasser's betrayal, launched a blistering attack on him, further fracturing the party. Schleicher, meanwhile, secured a political truce for the Christmas holidays, hoping to stabilize the government and marginalize the Nazis. He had a secret weapon, a mole within the Brown House, feeding him intelligence on the growing discord within the Nazi ranks. As the year drew to a close, Hitler retreated to the Obersalzberg, where he drafted his New Year's message, a defiant declaration of his unwavering commitment to the National Socialist cause, and a thinly veiled attack on Strasser and other traitors. The new year 1933 began with political and climatic chaos. As Hitler secretly met with Papen, his former enemy, to explore a possible coalition, Strasser continued his negotiations with Schleicher. The news of the secret Hitler-Papen meeting leaked to the press further damaged Hitler's credibility and exposed the deep divisions within the conservative camp. Hitler, desperate for a political win, staked his remaining resources on local elections in the tiny state of Lippe. He campaigned relentlessly, proclaiming his commitment to the common man and vowing to never surrender. While Hitler fought for votes in Lippe, Strasser met with Hindenburg, who approved his appointment as vice-chancellor in the Schleicher government. It seemed Strasser's gamble was about to pay off. The Lippe election, though not a decisive victory, gave Hitler the momentum he needed. He renewed his demand for the chancellorship, this time with Papen's support. In a series of secret meetings, orchestrated by the ambitious Joachim von Ribbentrop, Hitler, Papen, and Hugenberg negotiated the terms of a coalition government. The deal: Hitler as chancellor, Papen as vice-chancellor, and Hugenberg as economic minister. As rumors of the impending Hitler chancellorship spread, Berlin erupted in protests. Schleicher, facing political isolation, contemplated a military coup. Hitler, fearing a trap, prepared for his final meeting with Hindenburg. On January 30th, 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. The appointment, born of political desperation and backroom deals, marked the beginning of the end for the Weimar Republic. Within months, Hitler consolidated his power, dismantling democratic institutions and establishing a totalitarian regime that would plunge the world into war. The main takeaway from Takeover is chillingly clear. Democracies are fragile. Hitler's rise to power wasn't a coup or a revolution, but a calculated exploitation of democratic processes and the weaknesses of a fractured political system. He played a masterful game of brinkmanship, leveraging his popularity and the fears of the establishment to achieve absolute power. Easy-to-remember heuristics from this book are: democracy's fragility. Democratic systems, with their emphasis on consensus and compromise, can be vulnerable to manipulation by those who seek to dismantle them. The danger of extremism. Extremist ideologies, whether of the left or the right, thrive on political and economic instability, exploiting fear and division to gain power. The importance of leadership. Strong, principled leadership is essential for safeguarding democratic values and institutions against those who would subvert them. Thanks for watching. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you never miss our next book dive.